All right, real estate entrepreneurs, let's do some demolition on some cabinets. Now, I'm a real estate investor, but I also like to get my hands dirty on some of my projects. It was July 4th. I didn't have nothing going on. I was off on my day job. So I thought, well, let's just go ahead and knock these cabinets out. I do have contractors that obviously can do this work for me, and they do a great job at a reasonable price. But like I said, I didn't have nothing to do. I'm trying to get better with the construction part. Obviously this is not really construction, this is just demo, but I'm sure in the 20-25 minutes it took me, my contractors probably could have had it cleaned out in about 5 minutes, but not really a big deal to me. I kind of enjoy the process, just having a little fun, to be honest. This was a little bit challenging, as the people that previously owned this house, they did what most homeowners do. They set things up for a lifetime cabinets, so they really don't think about the next person replacing this cabinet, so they put screws everywhere, don't necessarily do things the professional way, so they kind of just jammed screws in sideways and whichever way in this range. So I wasn't exactly sure where all the screws was at, so it was kind of hard for me to get up underneath there. I probably could have moved the stove, that would have made it a little easier, but I don't always make everything easy. But I figured out where everything was at, so the next thing is when I took it apart to make sure that I didn't rip any of the live wires, because I didn't have the electric turned off for that, because I thought that I could be able to just take that off a little easier and set it right there on top of the stove, but it was a little more challenging. I had to get a longer bit to get in there to make sure that that we was able to reach the screw, because the way they had them jammed up in there. Overall, this really wasn't a bad piece, but this was one of the more challenging pieces. I thought maybe move over here, get a little bit done, but these screws become a challenge too, because those screws they put in went into the wall fine, but they had like an inch where there was no threading, and it just wanted to spin, and it wasn't catching on nothing, because this is like a stucco plaster wall, not stucco, plaster wall. So it was kind of works how like taking out a screw that's in drywall with no anchor. So needless to say, was not easy. So once we got this down, which I had to turn the video off for a second, got a little challenging, maybe cussed a few times, I don't know. Either way, got this down, came down with the cabinet door there, so process moving pretty good. But these got to the cabinets, like I said, that was just spinning, so I had to kind of find a way to figure out for them not to spin. So what I end up doing was taking the backside of a hammer and kind of holding that in place and letting the screw catch. So I fortunately was able to start pulling them out. Every single one of them was the same, and this kind of came as one big piece. My son stopped by for a second to offer his support, but not much help. As you can see, he did help me carry everything out after I got everything down. There wasn't a lot of space for two people, so kind of just did the thing myself. Wasn't hard at all. All in all, it took me about 20-25 minutes. There's my son again offering more support. But anyways, this was a good process, and I always support any real estate entrepreneurs or investors, if they can and feel comfortable to do little small jobs like this, to do it. Some people are hands off. Some contractors say I'll probably get in their way. But technically, I never intended on paying anybody to take these cabinets down in my SOW, so I did it myself, and we'll go from there. I eventually tried to rip this one off the wall. That's how frustrating it was until I started to use that hammer. As you can see, when I tried to pull it off, not much was going on. Finally got all the screws off. Got that big piece of shit out of there. Wasn't really heavy, but it was awkward, so got that out. Got this one little last piece, and of course, I'm looking for all the screws, and they're not in there. So I got the bottom one out, the only one I can find. These clowns put it at the very, very top, and they were sideways, so I had about a 3-inch gap to stick my hand in the drill up at the very top to get this to get these screws out. So eventually what I end up having to do is, because I couldn't even get between my hand and the drill, I couldn't even get in there. So what I eventually end up doing, I got what I could get out, but I end up actually just ripping it out of the wall. So unfortunately, that was the easiest thing to do. Probably not the best thing to do, but at the time it worked. So overall, pretty fun to remove the cabinets. It was a little bit of a nasty job. I did remove the bottom cabinets later. I'm not sure if I recorded that or not, but I'll post that as well. But like I said, I encourage anybody that wants to get a little bit of, sweat